Alright, so if you're struggling to build consistent income with Amazon KDP and Audible, and you're wondering why so many people seem to be getting results and you're not, then this video is for you. I'm going to break down exactly what $10,000 a month publishers are doing right now to generate consistent results. Inside my self-publishing mentorship program, I have multiple students earning between $5,000 and $10,000 per month and even more in some cases. And they're not guessing or doing random things, they're all following the same core principles. And so in this video, we're going to be walking through the 5 main principles that consistently apply to succeed in today's Amazon landscape. And the fastest way to get results with your business is to reverse engineer what they're doing. So make sure you stay until the end so you can apply all 5 of these principles to your KDP business and you will see better results. Let's get into it. So principle number 1 that these successful self-publishers are using is strategic topic research. So a big thing that high-level publishers are doing when it comes to topic research is they're spending time. They're not just picking a topic within a couple hours, they're spending a good amount of time and finding tons of potential topics that most people otherwise wouldn't see. And so when you pick a book topic within an hour, within 2 hours, there's no way you're actually going deep enough to find the real winners because that's what everyone else is doing. And so you have to spend more time, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, even a few weeks in some cases, get a ton of potential topics so you're not leaving any stone on Amazon unturned. And on top of that, we then have to use the proper data to actually validate these topics. And no successful publisher is just going to be picking a topic based on the competition or opportunity score that a keyword tool is telling them. They're going to pick a topic based on its demand, how much competition there is, and how saturated it is. And that's exactly why I put so much emphasis on the metrics that we use for our keyword validation, because we have to properly prove that if we create a book and spend time doing so, we're actually going to rank and sell. And of course, they're also picking evergreen topics. They're not publishing in Christmas topics or things that are very seasonal. They're going to die off immediately after that season is over. They're going to pick topics that sell year round. And so as their book progresses in terms of its ranking and its reviews, it's only going to sell better and better. And they're not waiting for these small pockets throughout the year to make all their money. And when you compound this with 3, 4, 5, 6 books, you have a ton of books that stay super consistent over the year. And that's how you actually build a portfolio that you can rely on through the year, and it's going to get better over time. They're also picking topics that are niche down and specific, most importantly solving one problem for one person. If your topic isn't clearly solving one problem for one person, you're probably too broad and you need to niche down further. So another very important thing that successful publishers are doing is they're not trend hopping. So although you can make money going to the popular trends and creating lots and lots of books, this isn't the best way to build a business over the long term because you're just relying on the last book that you published. And once it dies off, you don't have any more income unless you make another book. And so the most successful publishers, their books get better over time. They're in evergreen topics that are going to last, and most importantly, because their book has been there and selling for a long period of time, it gets more reviews, it gets higher ranking, and that's how it stays selling for the long term and doesn't die off at all because it's so solidified in its spot. So I'm not going to dive into my full topic research process right now. I do have other videos on that, but just to keep it simple, a lot of people, what they'll do when it comes to selecting a topic is they're going to, let's say they're looking into the topic Golo diet, they're going to look at the search volume, maybe they're going to look at the opportunity score that the keyword tool gives it in the actual dashboard, and then basically just select the topic based on that. When in reality, if you actually look at the search results here, none of these books are selling. Even the top ranking books that have a few hundred reviews are making $0 a day, $0, $0. And this is basically proving that if we create a book that has, let's say, 40 reviews, 100 reviews with a strong cover, it's not going to sell because there's no proof of that book selling. So we have to go deeper than that. We have to look at multiple different metrics to prove that there is demand, prove that the saturation and competition isn't too high, and prove that we can actually rank high and sell. So the topics that $10,000 a month publishers are in often look like this. There's clear search volume, but most importantly, when you actually look at the books that are ranking, they're very clearly selling well. And not just 1 or 2 of them, there's multiple of them. And so we have a bestseller, we have one making $300 a day, $35 a day, 100, 200, 100, 60. And as you go down, there's so much proof that these books are selling and the demand is high. And on top of that, what they're also looking for is the actual competition and saturation of the topic. How many pages of books are there? Are there 20, 30, 40 pages of search results that make it hard to penetrate the market? Or is there only a few? Are there tons of books that have over 1,000 reviews? Or do most of the books have between 50 and 200, where it's way easier to compete? If we're just picking a topic on an arbitrary metric like search volume, we're most likely going to be disappointed. We have to pair this with other metrics like the demand, the reviews of the books, how much saturation there is, and actually realistically determine if we create a book, will it rank and will it sell? So principle number 2 that the high-level publishers are using is they're creating the demand for their books. They are clearly the best option in that specific search term. Just because you published a book or somebody else published a book and it didn't have results doesn't mean there's no potential in that topic. It means that customers don't want to buy your book over others. And so we need to very clearly be the best option underneath our search term. So we're not just creating demand for the topic, we're creating demand for our book specifically. So Mario, who's one of my students and is making thousands of dollars a month with his books, has a perfect example of this. His specific topic that he chose didn't have any sort of crazy demand. There were a few books that were selling, but most of the books were just basic beginner guides with very generic covers that weren't selling at all. And so we made sure that Mario created the best possible option in the space, and overall, it just increased the topic demand in general. And so now instead of having a bunch of basic beginner guides, Mario's book ranked there, which had a way more professional cover, way more professional title, and just positioned itself as an actual authority and credible author. So it was almost a no-brainer purchase compared to all the other books. And his book actually ended up selling and still does sell better than all the other books, even better than the books that were selling to begin with. Because now instead of somebody browsing the topic, seeing these generic and boring beginner guides, they now see a proper credible option that's going to help them solve the problem they're looking to solve, hence increasing the actual conversion rate of the topic. And so as another example of this, let's say that our topic is ChatGPT for beginners, which I wouldn't recommend because the demand isn't super high, but we have to actually look at our competitors and ask ourselves, why would somebody buy our book over these ones? And so if we just create another ChatGPT for beginners, a step-by-step guide to generative AI book, why would our book even sell? First of all, there's no proof of these books selling. And second of all, they're just going to pick the one that's a better option, like this one here, ChatGPT for Beginners Made Easy. It's way more enticing in terms of its cover, and it's clearly communicating what the book offers. And so how I would position my book here is I would make the ChatGPT Masterclass, the complete guide to mastering prompts, boosting productivity, and getting more done with AI in just 5 minutes a day. So not only do we get away from that beginner guide, we say that we're the masterclass. Right there, it's a pattern interrupt. We then say that it's the complete guide to doing everything that they want to do, mastering prompts, boosting productivity, and getting more done with AI, most importantly in just 5 minutes a day. And so we just became the best option because we're solving the same problem, only way faster and way better. Because we have our positioning in terms of the masterclass, and we have this desirable attribute, which is 5 minutes a day. And like I said, you pair those two things with the actual topics the customer wants covered, which we can find in our topic research phase, and you're going to have a winning book. And pairing this strong title with a professional cover that doesn't just have some stock images on it is how we create demand and desire for our book, and more importantly, increase the topic conversion rate because now customers have somewhere very clearly to go. Because just because somebody searches up a topic and they want to buy a book on it doesn't mean they're going to if there isn't any good options. So principle number 3 I see used by all the highest level publishers is moving with conviction. So get books done fast, of course, as fast as you can, and more importantly, make them as high quality as possible. And after the student does this, regardless of the book's performance, they move on to the next one. They don't just rely on one try and then get discouraged if it doesn't work. They create a book to the best of their ability, they launch it, and they move forward. Publishing a book, seeing it flop, and then quitting is like trying to bench press 200 pounds with no training, failing, and then deciding never to work out a game because you think it doesn't work. Honestly, you'd be surprised how many people publish one crappy book with no strategy, they don't get results, and then they tell people it doesn't work. I see it in my comments all the time. Just don't be this guy. The people who make quick decisions and move forward with relentless force will always succeed. And so the simple process is find a topic, validate it properly, create your book, launch it, get the amount of reviews you need to have, get some sales, rank as high as you can, and then move forward to the next book. You can, of course, go back to your previous books, get more reviews, run ads, and monitor it, but it's important to learn and then move forward. And a simple way to look at it is that you want to do so much volume that it's unrealistic you'd be unsuccessful. You have to learn how to do something, and so do so much volume and create so many high-quality books, improving with each one, that it's literally unrealistic you'd be unsuccessful. And most likely you will be successful. So principle number 4 is constantly iterating. So when it comes to successful publishers, their starting book title and their finished book title is going to be very, very different. And so we shouldn't just whip up a title and cover in 5 minutes. Make sure you're consistently iterating these things over the entire book creation process to make sure that it is positioned correctly, aligned with what your customer wants, and not missing anything. And so a good title and a good cover is not what we want to aim for. There's lots of good titles and covers on Amazon. We need to create a great title and a great cover that is well above our competitors. And so what is a great title? What makes a great book title that's going to drastically increase our sales? So a great title, more importantly, tells the customer you have exactly what they want. It's speaking to them specifically, and the cover is drawing attention so they actually read the title. And how you do this is you iterate. You continue to refine throughout the book creation process and throughout the topic research process. And so we have to make sure that our title is covering everything that we need and nothing we don't. And we have some sort of unique angle that explains that we're solving this same problem better than our competitors, like we talked about with the ChatGPT Masterclass title. And cookbooks are a great example of this. As you can see, in any cookbook topic, the best-selling books are always the ones that just have a bit more to them than everybody else. They're a bit more specific, they have a bit more features, they have some sort of unique angle, like 5-minute recipes or 5-ingredient recipes that's making them stand out from everybody else. But the generic ones are never the ones that sell. As you can see, we have this one here, the super easy dad-bed cookbook for seniors, just the more generic title that's going to be basically the same as everyone else. But then you go over to the ones like this that are selling, the one that has the 30-day meal plan, the 2,500 days of recipes. We also have this one up here that is specific. It's for seniors over 60. It has 2,000 days of recipes. I believe it's also a 30-day meal plan. But the important thing is there's always some sort of unique mechanism that makes the book stand out from the competitors and gives the customer a reason to buy. Just because our book is here doesn't mean it's going to sell. We have to give a customer a reason to buy our book, telling them the problem will be solved in this amount of time, this easily with this mechanism, and it's going to do it more effectively than the competitors. So principle number 5 is being in a proper environment. Now I know this video seems like a big plug for my program. I promise you that's not what I'm trying to do here. There are a select few students who do have outlier results, and I really just want to outline exactly what they're doing, and this is a big one. Not only are they in the right environment, but they're actually utilizing it. They're joining the Q&A calls, they're asking questions in the group, they're helping other people with their questions and leaving comments, they're even sending me DMs if they have any quick inquiries. But even before they had their results, they're surrounded by other successful publishers who've already struggled with what they're struggling with and succeeded at it. And so they're pinging their ideas off of these people and easily avoiding big mistakes because people have already done it before them and they can easily help them out. And the right environment also allows for accountability. We tend to struggle to follow through on our own. This is a very common problem. And of course, if you are doing something like online entrepreneurship, you're probably going to get some judgment from your friends, your family, your coworkers. That's going to make it even harder. If you're in an environment surrounded by other people who think like you, act like you, and are pursuing what you're pursuing, it's going to be way easier to stay motivated and just not give up when it gets hard. One rule I actually live by is that if I'm being judged by people around me based on what I'm doing, it means I'm in the right direction. Because if you want to be part of the 1% got there because they made the decisions that 1% of people will make. They didn't do what 99% of people are doing. So if 99% of people are judging you for what you're doing, how you're acting, what time you're getting up, the habits you have, it means you're on the right track. Because that means you're not going to be like everybody else. You're going to be like the 1%. And so be the outlier and you will be the outlier. And so psychology also suggests that we mirror our environment. We become who we surround ourselves with. And if every day you're inside a group, collaborating with other people, asking questions, leaving comments, maybe DMing some people and having an accountability partner, you're going to more likely become like these people and want to push yourself to perform like them and get better results than them in a fun, competitive way. And so regardless if you join a paid program or a free group, join something, be in some sort of environment surrounded by people like you. Because if you're just doing this alone and you're fighting against the world that is not aligned with you, it's going to be very difficult. The right environment also allows for up-to-date changes. Very often when people come into roadblocks or new things in the Amazon KDP space, which is always changing, they're going to make a post, they're going to leave a comment. And recently there was a big change when it comes to actually reviews on Amazon, is Amazon just before Christmas started removing a ton of reviews, and the old process we used to use doesn't work anymore. And so we very quickly, of course, adapted. I made a post outlining what we need to do moving forward. And now people aren't getting their reviews removed anymore because they adjusted their strategy. But I still see people commenting on my videos, why are their reviews getting removed? When we've already addressed this a month ago and solved the problem. And of course, being in the right environment is very valuable, whether it's a paid group or a free group, because you can get on-demand advice. You can ask questions. You can get help from other people doing exactly what you're doing, and most likely who have already struggled with that specific thing, and they have a very clear answer for you. And so we don't want to spend months, weeks, days on a specific question trying to find the answer. It's going to be very hard to make progress when we're moving that slowly. We want to be able to just ask the question and get the answer right away. And you're only going to be able to get this advice in the right place surrounded by the right people. So that is the 5 main principles the most successful publishers are using to grow their business. Definitely go and implement all these things now and your results will change. Of course, if you do want to join the mentorship program I've been talking about throughout this video, you can apply using the link below. It's really just for people who know they'll have better results with proper training, the right environment, and expert guidance when they need it, instead of trying to do it on their own. So apply below. If approved, you will get the offer document that outlines the entire program. Don't worry, you're not forced to book some pushy sales call. With that out of the way, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more no-nonsense Amazon KDP advice. I'll see you in the next one.